Happy New Year and welcome to the Sherdog Radio Network preview for UFC 324 Gaethje vs. Pimblett. I'm your host, Ben Duffy of Sherdog.com. Back with me, as usual, is Keith Shillan, the executive producer of the Sherdog Radio Network. Keith, how the hell are you doing, man? It's been a couple weeks.
Yeah, I think it's been like 6 weeks since we did a preview, man. Happy New Year to everybody. I'm very excited for 2026. The first thing we both have been calling for getting rid of pay-per-views forever. So that's huge. There is some negatives to it, and we won't get into it on the preview show because we're going to be going a long time on this. But we did do a show. If you really need a fix, we did me, you, and Dev did a predictions for a year-end prediction of who will be the champion for each weight class. So make sure you check that out. I've been doing some shorts too. So if you want just my quick pick in 2 minutes, so check those out. I will say this. I was on LinkedIn, which I never, ever, ever use, but I was on LinkedIn and it came up that I've been with Sherdog for 7 years.
Beautiful.
And it's significant. I want to say this real quick, and we'll get into the card, and I'm going to get it personal for 1 second. It's significant because before I came to Sherdog, I got noticed based on what I was doing with another website, and me and Mike Fridley started talking. That other website was a website called the MMA Takeover. I mentioned this about a year and a half ago. I had a good friend. His name is Corey Gronfeld. He was the very first guy to join with me at the MMA Takeover and kind of make our little footprint we had in the world of MMA. I asked people to pray for him as he was diagnosed with cancer about a year and a half ago. Unfortunately, he died Friday night. So I just I know a lot of people who listened, reached out. I'm not going to get emotional like I did last time. But obviously, I just want to say publicly that I'm praying for his wife. He has 5 children. He is the best dude. He was the very first guy to believe that I could do a little something in the world of MMA. So I don't think I would be here if I never got to become friends with Corey. So I just want to thank him for everything. And with the most amazing thing, his last post on Facebook, he was in a hospital bed and he was talking about going to heaven and how he wanted all his friends to be there and was challenging people, if you haven't been in church, to go to church. And I don't want to get preachy, but for him to think of others in those moments, he's just an amazing person. So love you, Corey.
And I'm sorry for your loss.
Thanks, man.
Seriously.
Thanks, man.
There's no graceful way to segue from that to what Robert Whittaker calls guys punching each other in their underwear. But yeah. I'm going to do my damnedest anyway. Obviously, anytime it's a new year, and you just mentioned you've been with Sherdog for 7 years. For me, it's going to be 8 years in March. So we've been through a bunch of new years, and every new year is just it's a fresh start. And this obviously is going to be more so because it's the beginning of a whole new era for the UFC. Everything we talk about tonight is going to be the first something. I guess it's like being the first astronaut on the moon. You know, that's the first human footprint there. I kick a rock, that rock hadn't moved in a million years before. So when we talk about,
it could be Paddy Pimblett's first loss, because I don't know if you saw the other previews during this NFL divisional playoff. They were previewing the fight and they called them undefeated. I'm like, what?
Undefeated in the UFC. There's a little.
You got that Chael Sonnen treatment.
So we're going to have a lot of firsts tonight. We're going to have the first UFC title fight of the new era. We're going, in probably about 5 minutes here, we're going to talk about the first UFC debut of this new era. We're going to have the first ridiculous betting line of the new era. Everything we're doing is just fresh and brand new. I'm excited for it. Obviously, we need to discuss the 135-pound elephant in the room, which is, of course, we lost the fight on this card that it wasn't the headliner, but it was almost certainly the most historically important fight on the card, which was going to be the women's bantamweight title fight between Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes. Harrison, within the last week, ended up needing surgery for a neck injury. She's obviously out of this weekend. It was way too late to call Valentina Shevchenko and ask her to show up and take. Anyway, we lost that fight. Tell me what your thoughts are on this card without that. Like, how good do you feel about this as the start of the new era?
Yeah, that was a huge blow. I mean, I had my gripes about Gaethje versus Pimblett as the main event for your first card ever, no pay-per-view. You know, I wanted something bigger than that. I wanted an actual title fight. And I was in the camp saying Kayla Harrison versus Amanda Nunes should be the main event. Like, I saw it, and Ariel Helwani got slack for it, and I'm like, why? He's 100% correct. You know, you have a super fight with a true champion. I know and I don't want to go too far off this topic, but heading into, starting 2026, there's a lot of question marks about our current champions that I don't think and we had that every year, but not like to the degree we have it right now. I mean, we have 135. We have Kayla Harrison in a serious neck injury. Does she even fight this year? You have Tom Aspinall, the heavyweight champion, with being poked in the eye. How long does he return having multiple eye surgeries? Ilia Topuria has personal issues going on. Chimaev never fights in general. Makhachev takes long periods of time off. There's a lot of question marks for our champions, and I wonder how many of those be answered in this first quarter. Even the first half of the year. It's a lot of question marks. As far as this card, it's still deep. It's a very deep card. So I'll give it like a C+. I just feel like we don't have a main event. I feel like the main event fell off. That's what we're missing. Like Alex Pereira's fight got canceled or something, and that's why we don't have a main event. Like that's how I feel.
And I can see that. I'm a little more charitable to this one. I'd call it a B-. And the thing is, like I kind of said a few minutes ago, we're just learning now what the new normal is going to be. Now that these numbered cards no longer have to give you something to induce you to spend $70 or $80 on it, we might see a little more even distribution of the marquee fights between the numbered tentpole events and the in-between fight night events. That wouldn't break my heart any, but
sure. If you look at it like that, if you don't look at the numbered events as special and they're just another card and, oh, this one's cool because we have a title fight, cool. But if you think that the numbered events are still going to be, I think they'll be like still bigger than your fight nights. But a perfect example, just look at next week's card. The very week after UFC 325, there's some holy crap. What is going on with this card? So, but yeah, overall, there's still I'm still happy to watch some fights and don't get me wrong. I'm bashing Gaethje versus Pimblett as a main event. That's still a banger fight. I mean, it's Justin Gaethje. Like, when is Gaethje not in a banger fight? So I just want to be very clear on that.
The fight rules. The fact that they are hanging the whole card basically on that fight is the thing that you could call into question. But like, even if Topuria wasn't going anywhere and this was just a title eliminator, this would be one of the coolest fights, of the year. So I'm there for that. I'm going to ask you this question: which relatively under the radar fight are you looking forward to most? And I have to say relatively, because this is not a boxing style card. Like, the entire top 5 or 6 fights are all incredible. So,
yeah. So when I was answering this question, I was thinking about what you're going to ask me. I was thinking this, we had 6 weeks to prepare for this card. So it's much different than we normally get. Normally we get 6 days. I was looking at Arnold Allen versus Gene Silva, just because you had Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes getting the buzz, and Gaethje and Paddy Pimblett. Derrick Lewis will say funny things at the press conference, and a bunch of other fights like that. O'Malley obviously is marketable, and he's already kind of got some heat for his tactics towards Song Yadong. And I'm like, this is just a banger fight that people won't be talking about. Gene Silva's going to try to do his best. He'll bark at him and do something. Arnold Allen's not going to. Arnold Allen will say respectful things, and then he's going to just put on a fantastic fight. So I'd say that's one that's probably still flying under the radar.
Yeah, I love that one as well. That's actually the one I was gonna mention as well. So I'm not gonna get creative. I love that fight as well. And there's the added little spice that we left off the end of last year with the fighting nerds needing to prove a little something. August or so, they were the hottest team in the sport. They took a couple of kind of high profile losses in almost consecutive cards, like within about a 6-week span. 3 or 4 of their top people ended up taking an L. It's not like the roof is caving in on them, but yeah, there's a little something riding on this, especially for Silva, who got clipped and knocked out in a fight where he was otherwise doing well. So, but always adds a little extra interest to that. Any other general thoughts on this one before we dive into these prelims?
Another fight that I'll say that if you asked me this a year ago, I would have laughed at you that I'd be interested in. But I'm interested in Michael Johnson versus Alex Hernandez just because they're both on this unbelievable career turnarounds. And I'm like, well, dude, someone's going to continue it. And I'm actually intrigued by that.
This is in my notes for when we talk about this fight, but I'm just going to sort of say it in so many words now. If you told me 3 years ago that Michael Johnson and Alexander Hernandez were going to be fighting on a UFC card, I would have been mildly surprised. I would have guessed that one or both of them might have been out of the UFC by now. What would have shocked me would be that they would be on 4 and 3 fight win streaks respectively, and arguably should be higher on the card. Yeah. That's the first pleasant surprise of the new era.
If you told me they were they were on this winning streak, I'd be like, oh, well, they do another one of those tough things where they brought back all the has-beens and like they do with Travis Lutter and Jorge Rivera and I'm like, oh, Michael Johnson fighting a bunch of tomato cans and or has-beens, but that's not the case.
How funny would it be to have to announce Michael Johnson as being a veteran of like season 12 and season 35 of The Ultimate Fighter? Yeah. That would be amazing. First up on the UFC 324 undercard, at least as the card is set up as of the beginning of fight week, is a welterweight scrap between Adam Fugitt and Ty Miller. Fugitt, the 37-year-old Oregonian, is 10-5 overall. He's 2-3 in the UFC. He's alternated losses and wins throughout that run. He's coming in off a loss. He got knocked out in the first round by Islam Dulatov back in July of last year at UFC 318. So according to the pattern, he is due to get back in the win column. The man with something to say about that will be Miller, who is the first UFC debutant of the new era. 25-year-old New Mexico native is 6-0 with 1 no contest. He fought on the Contender Series last August, winning a unanimous decision over Jimmy Drago. That was enough to get him a ticket to the big octagon, where he makes his bow here. And if you are a Shillan and Duffy show regular and one of your favorite parts of the show is me quizzing Keith about the betting odds, you're going to be disappointed because there are only about 4 fights on this whole card that are even worth asking him about. This is not one of them. Miller is a whopping favorite. He is minus 425, Fugitt plus 350 coming back.
And I thought this was a pick 'em.
New era. Some things never change, folks. Ty Miller. So I love that we have a tall, lanky welterweight from Albuquerque coming out of Fit NHB in the UFC in 2025. It feels like Carlos Condit showing up all over again. Miller is not Carlos Condit, but he is a pretty interesting prospect. Watching his fights, this is something that again, if you're a regular of our show, you'll hear me say this periodically. It is impressive that this early in his career, Ty Miller already knows how to win rounds. He's a guy that, like I said, he's tall, lanky, rangy, built a little like Condit, but unlike Condit, who never found a phone booth he didn't like to get in and swing punches, Miller's already pretty good as an outfighter. Everything works off of his jab. He has a good jab. He's one of those guys for whom the jab is not just a tool, but a weapon. Like we see him disrupt his opponents, dictate the range, but we've also seen him almost sit people down with his jab. He has a nice left hook as well for people that get kind of past his first line of defense. I like him as a prospect. I'm not sure I love him as a greater than 4-1 favorite against someone in Fugitt who's not a bad fighter. Fugitt, he's 2-3 in the UFC, but his 3 losses are to good fighters. Lost to Michael Morales, who is undefeated and might be a champ this time next year. Mike Malott, who is like 6-1 in his last 7, and Islam Dulatov, who looks like the real deal. So it's not like Fugitt is losing to chumps. If Miller beats Fugitt, then to a certain extent, he is the real deal. He is at least definitively proven that he belongs in the UFC. What Fugitt is going to do is challenge what Miller likes to do. From what I've seen of Adam Fugitt, he's not going to just sit on the outside and let himself get jabbed to death. If he has a bad showing, he's just going to run into that jab a lot and maybe start eating that nasty left hook a few times, and Miller will piece him up and beat him bad. But I think Fugitt is aggressive enough, tough enough that he's going to get inside on Miller. He's either going to just be there, kind of forcing the phone booth hockey fight on him, maybe trying to get body locks, drag him down to the canvas. Relatively speaking, and again, Miller's a guy with 7 career fights. His ground game is relatively untested. I expect Miller is going to win here. He's bigger. He's more athletic. He's already a more skilled striker, even though Fugitt's like 10 years older and much more experienced. And on top of everything else, Fugitt is 37, going to be 38. He might even have fallen off from what he looked like 7 months ago. Give me Miller by decision here, but I'm very interested in this one just to see how he picks up that decision if he does. But yeah, give me Miller by decision. And I don't like him at this huge line.
Yeah, I agree. I think the line is way too much, especially a guy making his UFC debut. And I mean, he's a good talent. He's young, but he doesn't jump off the board as this like future champion like talent. And Fugitt, he's got good experience. I think he's tough out. He's a southpaw. He's got really good output on the feet. He kind of stalks his prey, constantly moving forward and winning with pressure. I like that he works the body a lot. He has, I'd say, some nice power. Huge kicking game. He threw more kicks against Josh Quinlan than he threw punches. He likes to kick to his opponents like arms. He doesn't care about him blocking. Like he knows he hurts hurts your arms and also zaps your power just by kicking the arms. I like his teep kicks. He mixes his strikes and takedowns together well. I'd say he's an okay wrestler. He's not as good of a wrestler that he wants to be. He wants wrestling to be a big part of his game. He can kind of overextend on his takedowns, but he gets the fight down. He's got 3 subs on his record. What I love about Miller, he's only 25 years old. So I like that. Again, when I say, he's not a future champion, I think at 25 years old, you can't say that about anybody. But like there are some guys at 25 years old, you're like, oh my God, this guy's a future of the sport. Like, I don't think anybody's saying that about Miller. But I think he's a good addition to the UFC on the other hand. He's long, he's lanky. He presses forward. He's got pro boxing experience, really nice boxing, good jab, good straight right. He has these long legs, which leave him to be open to leg kicked. But he's not just a boxer. He's got a good high kick. Not much of an offensive wrestler. He doesn't really look for wrestling, but he's a weaker defensive wrestler, but he's hard to hold down. He gets up really quick. One mistake, though, he gives up his back to get up. And if the fight goes to the ground, he's not a submission threat. So as far as prediction go, I don't feel like I have a strong enough read on Miller to be like, yeah, take him at -400 or whatever you said, favorite. Yeah. But I do feel like I have a feel on Fugitt, and he's a mid guy. That's what he is. He's not an easy out or anything like that, but he is what he is.
Mm-hmm.
And I think Miller's boxing is enough. I'm going to say Miller wins the decision, but Fugitt is super tough. That I think he makes the rounds close in the end. So we kind of look at the fight very similar, but yeah, I'll take Miller by decision.
Next up on the UFC 324 undercard is a bantamweight matchup between Ricky Turcios and Cameron Smotherman. For those counting your firsts of the new era, firsts of the new year, this is the first all Houston scrap of 2026. Here we go. Turcios, 32-year-old Houstonian, 12-5 overall, 2-3 since joining the UFC as a veteran, both of the very first season, in fact, the very first episode of Dana White's Contender Series, and also as the bantamweight winner of season 29 of The Ultimate Fighter. He is coming in on a 2-fight losing streak, the first losing streak of his entire career, in fact. He fought just once last year, and it was almost exactly a year ago. He dropped a unanimous decision to Bernardo Sopai at UFC 311. So he is looking to bounce back from that, snap that losing streak. In order to do so, he will need to get past his crosstown rival, Smotherman. 28-year-old, also from Houston, 12-6 overall, 1-2 since joining the UFC as a veteran of season 7 of the Contender Series. He is also on a 2-fight losing streak. He fought most recently in June at UFC on ESPN, Usman versus Buckley, where he dropped a unanimous decision to Ricky Simon. So he'll be looking to snap that losing streak as well. He is favored to get it done. Smotherman is minus 190, Turcios plus 160. Having set it up, I am not going to give a pick for this one. If you know our show at all, you know that I'm a Houston guy. You know that I am a shameless homer. But even more than that, I literally train with Ricky. So when it comes to people that I know personally, going forward, I'm not going to pick their fights. And I'm not going to pick ever, because otherwise it'll be that thing where, well, if Ben didn't pick, that's because he thinks he's going to lose, and if he did pick, it's because he thinks he's going to win. So I'm just not going to pick. Like, even if I was dead sure that Ricky was going to kill him, I'm not giving the pick. But yeah, Smotherman minus 190, Turcios plus 160. Tell me what's good about this fight and how you think it goes, Keith.
Well, just say that Turcios does train with Ben, so that right there should give you a lot of reasons to take him. If he's getting the secrets, Ben's, dude, can we just talk about how many fighters come out of Houston? I mean, obviously that's a major city in America, but I feel like lately it's just like every single card is like Houston guy, and they're good. They're
good, but again, Houston has as many people, like Greater Houston has about as many people as the entire country of Dagestan or the entire country of Ireland. And when you think of how many Dagestani or Irish fighters are in high-level organizations, it's like, well, fair enough. Houston could give us a few more.
Yeah, fair enough. Turcios is fun. I'll say this. Like, he's definitely very unorthodox. He constantly switching stances. I says where he's kind of this hold your ground guy when he's being pressed. So he'll have a big fun exchanges. Opponents have a hard time picking up his timing because you can't really copy him due to all this crazy things he does. Very like Keith Jardine like. He does a lot of up and down feints, which I actually do like. His entire offensive game striking is his volume. He just beats guys up with his output. He has quick hands. He throws big combination. His check right hook from the southpaw stance is his best strike. He does blend punches and kicks together well. He throws, a lot down in the pocket, and he wants to brawl. He has taken a lot of damage over the years, and I am worried that his durability would fade, and that's like the cornerstone of his entire like fighting style, because he's so insanely tough that fades. A lot of his offense will really suffer from it, but he'll take a beat and he'll just keep coming. I'd say he's a decent wrestler. He's not really blast through hips guy. He's just more like get a leg, get a limb, chain things together, win scrambles, keep his hips moving, very funk style. He is a bad defensive wrestler. He has been taken down a lot. He has a submission threat off his back. He's very active, tossing up submissions and stuff. But he will play the submission game too much, and he'll give up space and put himself in bad positions chasing these things. But he's got the cardio. He's not going to stop him. His cardio's off the charts. Smotherman is a very different style. He's a technical boxer, high guard defense, uses feints really well to set up his tags. He's a bit plodding, and he doesn't cut off the cage too well. Go back to like the Ricky Simon fight. He stood directly in front of him, showed no movement. His output has been inconsistent. It looks good in one fight, but then he's cruising too much in others. I go back to the Surrey City fight where he just like refused to match his output. But when he's letting his hands go, he has good body work. He's got decent power, really steps into his shots. He doesn't check leg kicks. And he doesn't kick a lot, which is an issue. But he does have good head movement. he's a weak offensive wrestler, and he's a worse defensive wrestler. I mean, he couldn't stop takedowns from Ricky Simone, and he struggled to get back to his feet. So, sorry, I got a little bit of a cold. I apologize if I keep coughing. I'm really torn. I'm glad that line is close because we talked about this fight off air, and I was just kind of teasing you. This is a close one. I'm gonna pick Smotherman because he's the way superior athlete. He's the better striker. If he just lets his hands go, he should win. But Turcios has two avenues of victory that I think are very possible. The first one is that Smotherman just cruises too much, and that keeps Turcios in the fight with Turcios just beating him with volume. But the more likely avenue of victory is if he gets Smotherman down and dominates him on the ground. But regardless, I'm going to lean Smotherman, but I don't feel good about this pick. But give me Smotherman by decision.
Heavyweights take the cage next at UFC 324, and on a night of firsts, it is the first unranked heavyweight fight that doesn't suck of the new era. And for all we know, it might be the last one we get this year. Josh Hokit versus Denzel Freeman. Hokit, the 28-year-old Californian, is a perfect 7-0 as a professional. He is 1-0 since joining the UFC out of season 9 of Dana White's Contender Series. He fought on the Contender Series last August, then made his UFC debut in November, knocking out Max Jimenez in less than a minute, cutting a very memorable promo on the mic, and sort of, well, skipping the line a little bit at heavyweight, where it's a division just dying for someone under the age of 40 to show a little bit of spark. He did all of the above. He is going to look to keep his record perfect at the expense of Freeman. 34-year-old Georgia native is 7-1 as a pro. He is also 1-0 in the UFC. He made his debut also in November. It was at UFC Fight Night Sarukian versus Hooker, where he won a unanimous decision over Marek Bulilo. Odds on this one do favor Hokit. He is minus 230, Freeman plus 190. And I've got to throw out there, this is the first kind of amusing clash of nicknames of the new era, as it is two guys with comic book inspired nicknames. We got Hokit, who goes by the Incredible Hulk, and Freeman, who goes by Luke Fox. And for those who are not big comic book nerds,
yeah, I didn't get that one.
Okay, let me put it this.
I get the Incredible Hulk one.
Yeah.
Or Hawk or whatever.
Luke Fox is, in DC Comics, he's what's called Batwing. He's basically like Black Batman. It's a pretty cool nickname as it goes, because the character in the comic books is a mixed martial artist who also fights crime. It's kind of cool.
Okay, cool. He's a mixed martial artist. He fights crime. He's Black Batman.
Yeah, check. Boom. There you go. Denzel Freeman checks all the boxes there. Josh Hokit seized the moment. We were in the final 2 months of last year, which, if you remember, there was a bit of drag those last 8 or 10 cards of 2025. Like, some of them were rough in terms of just kind of the same old thing week in, week out. For him to just blow a guy out in his UFC debut and cut a promo that was it was definitely from the Chael Sonnen, Colby Covington, like I'm a real American hero in the cage type thing. Hokit did it. All he needs to do is keep winning, or at least keep winning enough that they keep a mic in front of him, but he's going to be in good shape here. I don't know about him as a greater than 2-1 favorite over Freeman. Like, I don't think either of these guys has fought a fighter as good as the other. And it's worth noting that Freeman's one loss, it was a split decision. It could have been a win. It was in PFL, at this point, 3 seasons ago. It was in 2023, but it was a razor close fight. If he had happened to get the split nod there, and it was 7-0 Josh Hokit versus 8-0 Denzel Freeman, this fight would be a lot higher in this card. On top of everything else, Freeman's about 35 pounds bigger than Hokit, which that's not going to matter if Hokit just clocks him with an overhand right in 45 seconds like he did in November. But if he actually has to turn to his wrestling and kind of put in work on Freeman, he might have rougher sledding than we think. I'm still leaning Hokit here, mostly because Hokit already knows what he wants to do in a fight. Even though both of these guys have fewer than 10 fights, Hokit already seems to know what he's good at and what is going to be difficult for him trying to make it work as a heavyweight wrestle boxer who weighs like 232 pounds. Because of that, I do lean towards him against Freeman here. And I'm going to say that in a fight where I think there's probably going to be a lot of kind of wild, sloppy punch exchanges in close quarters, Hokit's going to catch Freeman at some point. Give me Hokit by second round TKO here, but I'm not minus 230 confident in that. And my second most likely outcome would probably be that Freeman catches Hokit. But yeah, give me Hokit by second round TKO here.
The more important question, who would win, the Incredible Hulk or the Black Batman?
I'm going to say the Incredible Hulk.
Okay.
I mean, Batman's whole power is having cool shit. Like his whole, I can't speak to the Black Batman, but
yeah,
like,
there's a bunch of Black Batman jokes in there, but I will leave that to the listeners.
Yeah,
so I don't lose the
but
joke.
I mean, White Batman's whole power is really being rich when you think about it.
Yeah.
He's a rich dude that beats up on mentally ill people. Like that's his whole shtick. So I would say the Hulk probably, yeah.
Hokit, he's a really good athlete. He's, former NFL player. They'll say that 100 times. He's very raw technically on the feet, but he's very explosive. He throws big, hard overhand rights. He hits hard. Great KO in his UFC debut over Gimenez. He is a good wrestler. He's got some nice entries. He likes some body lock takedowns too. Smothering top game, mean ground and pound, and he's a bit of a submission threat. But a lot of this has gone against very low guys. Denzel Freeman, he's a southpaw. He is his last fight. Who was the guy that he fought in his last fight? It was
Freeman.
Yeah, it was
Marek Bujlo is his name. He's this I think Polish or Czech guy. Yeah,
that was one of the worst fights of all time. It was
bad.
Yeah, it's funny because a guy interviewed Freeman for this fight, and he out of his Twitter or where he posted, he's like, man, the UFC finally was able to get Freeman off out of the apex. And it's like, but he's perfect for the apex. Like, imagine that. He was in front of a crowd, how much that fight would have got ripped up. And I don't think anybody, I get it. I understand some people really kiss up to, you get a guess, and I like this guy, so I'm not going to mention it. He's a really good dude, but I was just having a little fun. I was like, come on, dude, really? When he lets his hands go, he's a wild brawler. He loads up a lot. He has a big left hand. He has a great head kick KO on the regional scene. He will look for takedowns, but his technique isn't great. He likes upper body takedowns. He also shoots some from distance. If he gets to fight to the ground, he looks to advance position, though he does need to improve his overall control. But he's big, he's strong. He's got that Derrick Lewis ground and pound when he lets it go. But I think I'm a little more confident. I like Hokit here. I think he's probably better than him, really everywhere. And I think he knocks him out on the feet. I think we get another epic him on the mic. Give me Hokit. I say he wins by first round TKO.
Lightweights are up next at UFC 324 as Michael Johnson and Alexander Hernandez square off. Johnson, the 39-year-old Missouri native, is 24-19 overall. He is 16-15 since joining the UFC out of season 12 of The Ultimate Fighter. He is on a 3-fight win streak dating back almost to the beginning of 2024. It is his first 3-fight win streak in literally a decade in the UFC. He fought just once last year. It was in July at UFC 318, where he won a unanimous decision over Daniel Zellhuber. He will look to make it 4 in a row here and continue his unlikely late career resurgence against Hernandez, who is having a bit of similar energy himself. 33-year-old Texan training out of Colorado is 18-8 overall. He's 10-7 in the UFC, and he is on a 4-fight win streak, the first win streak that long of his entire UFC run. He fought fought 3 times last year, beating Kurt Holobaugh in March, Chase Hooper in August, and in September, knocking out Diego Ferreira in the second round. A little bit of Texas on Texas violence. He will look to make it 5 in a row, and against all possible predictions, actually sort of become a fringe contender, a guy that could call for a top 15 type opponent after winning 5 straight in this division. Keith, your favorite in this fight is -160. Your underdog +130. Who are they?
Dude, I have no idea. Hernandez is a favorite.
You are correct. Alexander Hernandez is -160. Michael Johnson +130. Michael Johnson turns 40 in June. Is he going to be on a 4-fight win streak when he gets there? Hell, if he wins here, he might be on a 5-fight win streak when he gets there. Tell me who wins this fight.
Dude, that's absolutely incredible. Michael Johnson is 40 years old and getting it done. I mean, that is the biggest surprise. You know, we should have put that as the biggest surprise of 2025 is Michael Johnson winning streak. You know, we've broken down Michael Johnson fights God knows how many times. I mean, he's southpaw. He's a boxer. He's always had good hand speed, nice straight shots. He likes to work the body a lot. He has this like resurrection in his power. I always thought his power was overrated, but now he actually is hurting people. He can wrestle. I mean, he landed 4 takedowns against Darius Flowers. Which is, you know, nice to see him using his wrestling. He has always been hard to take down. That's one thing. Even bad Michael Johnson, you know, really good guys can take him down, like, you know, Habib's and that level. But I mean, generally speaking, he's a hard guy to take down. He isn't a good grappler, though. He has been sub 9 times in the past. Obviously, he's been in the UFC so long that he's taking tons of damage. He's 40 years old. His chin can suddenly fall apart. His whole body can suddenly fall apart. Hernandez, he's a good striker. He uses a lot of movement to set up his strikes. He needs to improve his volume, though. There's a lot of too many single strikes. He does have fast hands. He's accurate. He's one of the better fighters at measuring his shots. He does well to slide in and out of range really well. When he finds his range, he explodes with combinations. He has a good left hook. He showed that he can still crack against Chase Hooper. He mixes punches to the body and to the head together in combination. He does well to mix up punches and kicks together. He is open to leg kicks. I'm going to go back to like the Damian Jackson fight. Jackson beat him up with leg kicks. He can sneak in a takedown. I think he's an underrated grappler. He's pretty good at winning scrambles, but he isn't a great defensive wrestler. I have absolutely flip-flopped in this fight. I mean, how can you be confident to pick either guy? I don't really have a good read on any of these guys. I still don't really believe in the winning streaks of either. I do like Hernandez's defense more. I say we get a back-and-forth fight, but I think Hernandez catches Johnson. Give me Hernandez by second round TKO.
Yeah, like you, this is one of the harder fights on the card for me to pick. And I get where you're coming from when you say I don't believe in these guys' win streaks, but in the case of Johnson, it's really just a matter of him actually beating guys he's supposed to beat 3 times in a row. Like, I would argue that you have to go all the way back to like 2016, 2017 when he was fighting Khabib Nurmagomedov and Justin Gaethje. For the last time we saw Michael Johnson fight guys that I think, okay, they are definitely more skilled fighters than Michael Johnson. Since then, pretty much everybody he's fought, he had clear avenues to victory against them, and he's barely 500. He's pulled out of that over the last year just by beating guys he's supposed to beat. If he fights to his best ability against Hernandez, he can beat him. But a lot of these guys' routes to victory are the same. Like, both of them, I think, are better offensive than defensive wrestlers. If one of them has been training accordingly and kind of has in the back of his mind, we're going to try to take this guy down, they're probably going to be effective. Both of them are crisp hitters, like on the feet. Both of them have fast hands. Both of them have good power. I would say Hernandez has excellent power, but they both have good power. Like you, I think this is probably going to hinge on Hernandez's power versus Johnson's tendency to get caught from time to time. I do think that's what this fight will turn on. I would love to go against your pick, just add a little spice here, but I see this about like you do. I think it'll be a real fun fight for as long as it lasts. Both guys could definitely have their moments, but Hernandez as the younger guy, the guy with less wear and tear, and the guy with greater one-shot power, I see him as the one more likely to be standing at the end of it. Give me Hernandez by second round TKO as well. Next up on the UFC 324 undercard is a men's flyweight clash between Alex Perez and Charles Johnson. Perez, the 33-year-old Californian, is 25-10 overall. He is 7-6 since joining the UFC out of Season 1 of Dana White's Contender Series. He's on a 2-fight losing streak and has actually lost 5 of his last 6 dating back over 4 years at this point. He fought just once last year. It was at UFC Fight Night Sarukian versus Hooker in November, where he fell victim to a flying guillotine choke from Asu Almabayev in the 3rd round. So Perez potentially fighting for his job here, definitely fighting for any vestiges of relevance in this division where he was once a top-level contender. In order to do either of those things, he's going to need to get past Johnson. 35-year-old St. Louis native is 18-7 overall. He is 7-5 in the UFC and has won 5 of his last 6, including his very last fight, which was a second-round knockout of Lonnie Kavanaugh at UFC Fight Night Walker versus Zhang in August. So he's looking to add another win, looking to establish himself potentially as a title contender in this division this year. He is favored to do so. Johnson is minus 200, Perez plus 170 as the underdog. Surprise here for me is that Charles Johnson is 2 years older than Alex Perez. That Alex Perez is only 33 is wild, because it obviously the mileage is something. Perez has 35 career fights, and being a guy who's from like the Tachi Palace area, he might have 5 more fights that we don't actually even know about, like on some dirt floor in a barn somewhere. But the problem with Perez is it's starting to show. My stock rant about the UFC men's flyweight division over the last, well, really in the post Demetrius Johnson era, is that the cool thing about it is that most of the top contenders are wild men who never started to fight conservatively even after they got into title contention or won the title. Perez was definitely of that mold, but he was always vulnerable to being caught, and that's only gotten worse as he has gotten older and slowed down a little bit. Just, he used to be a huge athletic flyweight, and he still is a huge athletic flyweight, but you could tell that he trusted his power and his chin to carry him past his opponents. And for a while, it worked more often than not. Like he came up short when he went against the Deiveson Figueiredos, the Alexandre Pantojas of the world, but against most guys, he was right. He could just get in a wild scramble with them or get in a wild slugfest and generally come out better for it. But he can't anymore. Now punches actually rock him that he used to be able to shrug off. And he feels like he's a step behind in those trademark men's flyweight wild scrambles and grappling exchanges. Like getting flying guillotine choked by Asu Almabayev kind of sums it up, because that looked like the exact kind of thing that he might do to somebody else 6 years ago. And he's now the guy on the receiving end of those. Add to that he lost a fight due to a knee injury, less than 2 years ago. I mean, a fight that he probably would have lost anyway, but a fight that ended on a knee injury. Perez is probably the new oldest 33-year-old in the UFC, whereas Johnson is 35, and he still seems to be fighting better from one fight to the next. Obviously, you look at the guy, he is a walking matchup problem physically. Like he's so tall, he's so rangy, and yet despite that, he has pretty quick hands. He has pretty good footwork. He has some skinny man power on his punches. This is one of those fights where I wouldn't have been shocked and I wouldn't have complained if the line were wider. Unless Perez really, really just looks refreshed and renewed and transformed physically, I think this is a Charles Johnson fight all day long. Johnson is disciplined enough and rangy enough to punish Perez on the feet. And if Perez tries to get into one of his kind of trademark Looney Tunes cloud of dust grappling exchanges with him, I think Johnson either just guillotines him or takes his back and chokes him out. I'm going to start off the new year joining Keith in naming a lock of the night. I like Johnson in this one on a card where there are some ridiculously wide lines that I may not be completely on board with. This is one that could be wider than minus 200 for Johnson, and I'd still feel okay about it. Give me Charles Johnson by second round submission here. But for what it's worth, it should be a hell of a lot of fun while it lasts.
Yeah, it's flyweight. I mean, flyweight fights are always fun. Alex Perez, I mean, like, what a shame that, like, this guy, since he fought for the title, I think he's 1 win, 4 losses, and like 972 canceled fights from injuries and everything. And he's really turned into a little bit of a what if to me. And
it's like the Ian McCall thing where he made it to the top and then everything fell off fast.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. He's big for flyweight. I mean, he's a wrestler boxer, you said. He's got good output on the feet. He's constantly moving forward, taking the ground. He throws tight combinations. His straight right being his best blow. Does best when he's actually in the pocket. He's accurate. He goes to the body a lot, especially with kicks. I like his calf kicks. He's a good wrestler, good top control, busy ground and pound. The biggest issue has been his submission defense. He's been subbed a bunch, but also, as you said, can he still take punches? And that's like he somehow finds ways to lose. Also, Johnson, he's a plus athlete. He's well rounded, pretty elusive. He likes to fight out both stances. I'd call him a kickboxer. Really good volume, constantly pressuring his opponents, goes hard all 15 minutes. I go back to the Kavanaugh fight. We just beating him with pressure. And he has dog in him. He just wears guys out by constantly working. He's so mentally strong. Even when he's getting destroyed, he just keeps working, putting himself in position to win. I mean, the perfect example is when he knocked out Josh Van. Yeah, and he just kept putting himself in position to win. He's got quick hands. He does well in the pocket. He likes uppercuts and size. Bit of a slip and rip striker. He has power, as mentioned. Josh Van also knocked out Sumadarji. He works the body well. He's very hittable, though. And some of that, he likes to roll with punches. And I've said this like a million times. That does not look good in the judges' eyes. One thing I like that he presses you, and if you take a step back, he's always taking that ground. He doesn't give it back to you. Big kicking game. He likes teep kicks. He will close the distance and wear out his opponent, use his size, grind. He wrestles a lot. And I like his wrestling, though sometimes he will shoot a little too far away without a setup. And he's a weaker defensive wrestler, but he's very hard to hold on. He has that mentality. Like, he's not going to play jiu-jitsu. So I expect Perez to do really well early, like he has in so many fights. I just think Johnson's going to do what Johnson's on. He'll take his shots and he'll just keep pressuring. And I think he's slowly going to wear down Perez. I think he takes the second round. I think he's beaten up in the third round. I think he's actually going to knock him out in the third round. So I'm going to go Johnson by third round. And Ben, I don't know if it's a new category, but I had this written down as my lock of the night too. So we might have a consensus lock of the night.
Up next on the UFC 324 undercard is a light heavyweight matchup between Nikita Krylov and Modestas Bukauskas. Krylov, the 33-year-old Ukrainian by way of Russia, is 30-11 overall. He is 11-9 across 2 separate stints in the UFC, but since being back this most recent time, he is 5-6, and he's actually on a 2-fight losing streak comprising both of his cage appearances of last year. He got knocked out in the first round by Dominic Reyes at UFC 314 in April, then came back in July and got knocked out in the first round by Bogdan Guskov. He would certainly love to snap that streak, and he'll need to get past Bukauskas to do so. Bukauskas, 31-year-old Lithuanian by way of Great Britain, is 19-6 overall. He also has had 2 separate runs in the UFC, but unlike Krylov, he had a really hard first one and has looked great since being back. He is 7-4 overall in the UFC, but he's 6-1 since coming back as the once again outgoing Cage Warriors light heavyweight champ, and he is on a 4-fight win streak. He fought 3 times last year, knocked out Rafael Cerqueira in February, won a split decision over Iwan Kudalaba in May, and then in September at UFC Fight Night Imavov versus Bahalio, he knocked out Paul Craig with a first-round buzzer-beating elbow. So he'll look to make it 5 in a row, and again, unlikely as it may have sounded when he got cut from the UFC 6 years ago or so, insert himself into the rankings here. Line is close enough on this one that I'm going to quiz you on it, Keith. Your favorite is -140, underdog +110. Who are they?
Yeah, I'm glad this line is close. This is a tough one to pick, which wouldn't have been a couple years back. I'll say Krylov is still the favorite.
It is actually Bukauskas. He is -140, Krylov +110. Like, it's interesting. There obviously there are parallels here. Kind of like I mentioned, both these guys were in the UFC a few years back, got cut or let go, came back, and both of them in broad strokes are the same fighters they were before. Krylov has always been a big, athletic, offensively skilled guy who just had basement level fight IQ and was just prone to big mistakes that would get him in trouble. He's still kind of that guy. But Bukauskas has been a little bit of a revelation. He still fights the same fight he tried to fight before. He's always kind of wanted to be an out striker, like a European style kickboxer. He couldn't make it go the first time around. He didn't seem to have the footwork to keep inside fighters off of him. He didn't seem to have the physical strength to keep guys off him that wanted to clinch him, run him to the fence, take him down. All those things have changed. He's 6-1 since he's been back. He got clocked by Vitor Petrino, but 1, Petrino hits like a truck, and 2, the rest of the time he's done well, and he's done well against guys that wanted to get inside and get their hands on him and grapple him. People like Tyson Pedro, Iwan Kudalaba. He's beaten people that wanted to have the same kind of fight as him, people like Marcin Prachnio that kind of wanted to exchange kicks and long jabs with him at range. He's beaten a variety of different kinds of fighters. He's shown himself capable of dealing with pretty much every flavor of MMA that the light heavyweight division has to offer in 2026, which is pretty heartening because he's still just 31 years old, which is young when you think of how many light heavyweight champs we've had in the last 5 or 6 years that were pushing 40 or over 40. He's a pleasant surprise. I understand why the line is as close as it is, because the thing that Bukauskas has always been vulnerable to and remains vulnerable to is he can get caught, dropped, finished by people that hit super hard. Vitor Petrino put him away. I think he got knocked out in 2 of his 3 UFC losses the first time around. And whatever else may be said about him, good or bad, Krylov is a stupid hard hitter, and he's not just an Iwan Kudalaba style like phone booth hockey fighter, but he's got a great high kick. He's got power in both hands. So I could see Krylov just catching Bukauskas early, dropping him, and this thing is over. But I don't think that happens. Bukauskas is a guy that he's always known what kind of fighter he wants to be, but he's become a fighter that can make that go against a variety of different opponents. And someone like Krylov, who he is another one who's an old 33, has been around. Like, he was 20 years old when he debuted in the UFC as like a pudgy 230-pound heavyweight. He's taken a ton of damage, and he remains kind of prone to lapses in defense, lapses in fight IQ. I think Bukauskas is probably just a step ahead of Krylov the whole time here. It wouldn't surprise me if Bukauskas piled on the damage or caught him with something big and finished him. But I'm going to say Bukauskas wins a decision, and it's one where he just obviously wins all 3 rounds.
Wow. That's usually not a Krylov fight.
Dude, I love Krylov, but I was actually surprised. I thought Bukauskas might be a bigger favorite here just because of his win streak and Krylov's recent losses, but nope, it's pretty close.
Yeah, I mean the one concern I have about Krylov, Bukauskas is that he's on this winning streak, but like he hasn't been anything good. But I mean, if he beats Krylov, I might be saying the same thing 3 months from now. So I think your breakdown of Krylov was really good. Like he's a good athlete. He moves really well. He's a big finisher. He's this live by the sword, dive by the sword kind of guy. I mean, he was knocked out bad against Dominic Reyes, but offensively, he's got quick hands. He really lunges into his shots. He does drop his hands, which leaves him to be a big target. He has a massive kicking game, mixes strikes and with his takedowns together well. I'd say he's a solid offensive wrestler. He's a bad defensive wrestler, but like I said, he's a finisher. He's got a big submission game. He's got 16 subs. I always go back to like Glover Teixeira. He almost sub Glover Teixeira, which is saying a lot. But he will lose position to chase subs. That's his game. Like he's got to go for broke all the time. He's got better cardio than he looks. I always said his body language looks really bad, but his output isn't. Bukauskas, he has, again, I am concerned of who he's beaten, but he has looking good. I mean, he's a good striker. He likes to switch stances a lot. Like you mentioned, like he likes to keep his distance, works well from distance. His output has been inconsistent. He wants to keep his stance and hates being pressured. Though he's one of the guys who can land while being backed up. He's a good counter striker. He's got some fast hands, nice straight shots down the pike, good spinning attacks. I'd say underrated probably, or I probably underrated his power. Like he hits harder than like his first run in the UFC. Really good kicking game. He loves kicks to the body. He got takedowns against Marcin Prokhnio, but I wouldn't call him a wrestler. Despite getting a submission against Prokhnio, that was like the only sub he's gotten in a really long time, and it's taken him a really long time. He did show good takedown defense against Iwan Kutalaba. He's beaten two guys, including his UFC debut, by defending takedowns against the fence and landing like downward elbows, like that Travis Brown style. He's got a good get-up game if he gets taken down. His cardio has been inconsistent, and I am a little worried about his chin. I mean, he was cracked by Vitor Petrino, so I really want to pick Krylov, but my concern is that he might be shot. I'm just not as big on Bukauskas as others are. I still say he lands the cleanest shots and do his like Krylov's kill or be killed style. I think he just walks into a big shot and Krylov gets knocked out again. I'm going to say Bukauskas. Even though I just said I'm not that high on him, I'm going to say Bukauskas wins by first round knockout.
Next up at UFC 324 is a middleweight contest between Ateba Gautier and Andrey Pulyaev. Gautier, the 23-year-old Cameroonian, is 9-1 overall. He is 3-0 since joining the UFC out of Season 8 of Dana White's Contender Series. All three of those appearances came last year. All three of them were first-round knockouts. He knocked out Jose Medina in March, Robert Valentin in July, and Tristan Vines at UFC 320 in October. So he will look to make it 4 in a row, continue taking the division by storm, as he frankly did last year against Pulyaev. 28-year-old Russian is 10-3 overall. He's 1-1 since joining the UFC, also out of the 2024 season of the Contender Series. He dropped his UFC debut last March to Christian Leroy Duncan, then came back in August and knocked out Nick Klein in the second round to pick up his first UFC win. He would love to get his second. He is not favored to get it, as Gautier is an absolutely massive minus 900 favorite. Pulyaev plus 600 coming back. Keith, the good news is that Ateba Gautier is 3-0 in the UFC with 3 first-round knockouts. The bad news is that he has fought like literally the worst the division has to offer.
Yeah.
Well, his first 3 UFC opponents are a combined 0-7 in the UFC, and I'm fairly certain that none of them will still be on UFC roster by the middle of this year. Pulyaev is going to be his first opponent that has a win in the UFC at all, and the first one that, at least by the eyeball test, looks like he belongs in the UFC. So if this were boxing and your job was just to bring along this 23-year-old phenom as gently as possible, this is the perfect next step. He's beaten 3 just rock bottom, not UFC quality middleweights. Pulyaev looks like a guy that probably should have some staying power. You know, he's young as well. He has some physical gifts. He's a solid fighter. Having said that, I think this is just another one where it's sort of teed up for Gautier to do his thing. Like Pulyaev, it's interesting that he is a protege of Alexander Shlemenko, because Shlemenko was this 5'8" middleweight who was a little thick around the middle and threw like 80% spinning strikes. Pulyaev is 6'4", lanky, and while he's not a terrible athlete, he's not plodding by the standards of a 6'4" middleweight. The speed and explosion deficit against Gautier is going to be such that even if Pulyaev is at his most defensively sound, I just don't think he's going to be fast enough to keep Gautier off of him. I could see this being one, and spoiler, I've got Gautier by first round knockout. I could see it being one where Pulyaev is doing the right things defensively, where he just gets knocked out by a head kick that he actually blocks, or gets his guard split by a punch that just comes down the pike faster than he can do anything about it. That's kind of what I see happening here. I still want to see what it looks like when Gautier has to fight out of the first round against, a decently skilled opponent, what it looks like when he gets any sort of pushback, what it looks like when he lands his best shot on somebody and they don't go away. I just don't think we're going to see it here. Give me Gautier by first round knockout, and the hype train, rightly so, honestly, will continue to crank.
Yeah, this is a really, like, I actually, when you were saying the betting line of him being negative 900, when you said there was going to be this obscure betting line, I thought it was going to be something stupid like negative 2,000 or something.
Gautier is not the biggest favorite on this card.
Oh, dude, who's the biggest favorite? It's Umar's the biggest favorite. But that being that big against this fight, Gautier, like, he's one of the greatest athletes I've seen come to the UFC. I mean, like, dude is an absolute freak of nature. I mentioned this last time. He's got like 3% body fat, and he's only 23 years old, so he can get even better. It's hard to really judge his skills, as like you said, is like when Trustin Vines is the best win in the UFC. Like, I don't know. Is he the best win? Is it Robert Valentine? I don't know. Maybe it might be Jose Medina. I don't like that. It's really low level UFC guys. It's hard to tell how good he is. But what I will give him credit for is he's had these like softballs, and he's not flying out to center field. He's knocking it way out of the park. He moves so well. He's a good striker. He's very relaxed and poised, and he's super accurate. And when he lands, he has massive power. I mean, he just touches, and it's lights out. I love his stepping knees. He throws kicks, so he doesn't really set him up. That might be where he might get countered. He isn't a wrestler at all, but what I like is his takedown defenses keep improving. He does struggle to get off the bottom, and a lot of this regional scene stuff, and he's not a submission threat at all. Pulyaev, he's a poor athlete. He's a southpaw. He's long and lanky. Good output on the feet. He wants to be a technical striker using like good footwork to keep his distance, but oftentimes he overextends on his shots, leaving him open to be countered. He kicks well. He crushed Klein with body kicks. He wants to wrestle. The problem is he's not good at it, and he's a very poor defensive wrestler. He showed some improved takedown defense against Nick Klein, but Klein is really bad. He didn't get back up against Klein quickly. He does have 2 subs on his record. He will rush positions to get a sub. So as far as prediction goes, I mean, come on. This is an insane mismatch. I think Puliev's going to throw a strike, be overextended, and Klein's just going to freaking knock him back to the ESPN days. I mean, Gautier is going to knock him back to the ESPN days. Gautier is this guy's. I'm not going to say he's a future champion or anything like that, but it's not in the realm of possibility. I mean, he's that good of an athlete. He crushes Pulyaev. Give me Gautier by first round knockout.
Next up at UFC 324, and at least as the card is constituted as of the beginning of fight week, the top prelim is a men's bantamweight matchup between Umar Nurmagomedov and Deiveson Figueiredo. Nurmagomedov, the 30-year-old Dagestani, is 19-1 overall. He is 7-1 in the UFC. He is coming into this fight off a win. He picked up a unanimous decision over Mario Bautista at UFC 321 in October. That allowed him to bounce back from his first career loss, which was in his unsuccessful challenge for the UFC bantamweight title back at UFC 311 almost exactly a year ago. So he would like to put that performance a little further in the rear view, would like to reaffirm his case for a shot at the title now that Merab Dvalishvili is no longer the champ. In order to do any of those things, he will need to get past Deiveson Figueiredo. Figueiredo, the 38-year-old Brazilian, is 25-5-1 overall. He is 14-5-1 in the UFC. He is, of course, the former UFC men's flyweight champ. He had a legendary 4-fight rivalry with Brandon Moreno, after which he moved up to bantamweight. He is 4-2 since moving up to 135 pounds, and he is coming in off a win. He fought most recently at UFC Fight Night Oliveira versus Gamrot last October, where he won a split decision over Montel Jackson. That allowed him to bounce back from back-to-back losses to Petr Yan and Corey Sandhagen. The Sandhagen fight, of course, was ended on a knee injury, but however it ended, Sandhagen was the winner. Figueiredo, now back in the win column, would like to keep the good vibes going, would like to reaffirm that he is a factor in the title picture in his new division. He is not favored to get that done, to say the least. On a card full of firsts, this is the first greater than 10-1 favorite in the UFC this year, and this might be the widest line we see all year, as Nurmagomedov is minus 1,500, Figueiredo plus 850, and that, again, that's not me shopping for bad lines. That's actually a median that's tending towards the cheaper. Nurmagomedov is minus 2,000 on some books.
Yeah, I guess
Figueiredo. Yeah, Figueiredo was asked about it this past week, and he said, I know that I'm a big underdog. I know why I'm a big underdog, but it only takes one punch. Keith, while he is technically correct, tell us why that's not going to happen, unless you're about to make the ballsiest upset pick of the year right now.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, this fight, if you told me guys that are ranked fighting each other, which fight I'm least interested in, it might be this one. Just for those reasons. Let's do this. Let's just, for time purposes, let me just get right to my prediction. I think this is a horrible stylistic matchup, Figueiredo. I mean, like he said, I can't see him winning any other way than landing one massive blow. And I don't think Figueiredo has that kind of power anymore, especially at 135. And I think he's been masking. He's like this guy. He keeps winning. He keeps finding ways to win. And but I feel like it's. I had like a tooth infection like forever ago, and it was actually when I was fighting that man. It was like that long ago, and I had like Sensodyne I put in there, and it was like, and it would like mask it for a little while, and it wouldn't hurt. And then eventually, like one day, I went to go like training, and it was just throbbing me, and I was doing it, and it wasn't working, and then I just like couldn't sleep, and I had to go to like the dentist the very next day and get like, and the guy's like, "Oh my God, you're like an open nerve. Like, how the heck did you like hide this pain?" And like, I kind of feel like that's what Figueiredo is. Like he's hiding that he has an infection in his tooth. I really think his game is like, I don't, when I see him fight, I don't see a top 15 talent. I see for guys smoking mirrors and crafty enough to get things done. But this is just way too much for him. I see Umar smoking Figueiredo everywhere. I say he pieces him up on the feet. I say he lands takedowns. He's faster than him. He's stronger than him. He's way better wrestling than him. I think he might be even better at jiu-jitsu. I think Figueiredo makes a mistake. I think Umar's going to sub him. Give me Umar by second round submission.
Yeah. But
I actually like the line. I think the line is like, that's how big, sorry to interrupt you. Like that's the chance I give Figueiredo winning. Like, I think he's a like 200 to 1 favorite, whatever it is.
No, I'm with you on that. And yeah, obviously I have Nurmagomedov in this one big, just because the routes to victory for Figueiredo would be so low percentage. Yeah, it would just take one punch, but especially at bantamweight, he's not really a one punch guy. Like he has good power, but his TKO finishes have tended to come with an accumulation of damage, or it would take Nurmagomedov making a huge mistake like we haven't really seen him make in his entire career. So yeah, that sounds like a minus 1,500 favorite to me. And I'm with you on the overall feel of this fight, because yeah, Figueiredo feels like a guy that moving up to 135 was kind of like putting some Oragel on the exposed nerve. Like the Sandhagen fight ended on the knee injury where they were kind of tangled up, not really a leg lock race, but Sandhagen had been going for a leg lock, bailed on it, stood up, went back into the guard, the knee popped. But I'm never going to say that's a good thing for a fighter, but in terms of how we remember their fight, that's what we remember now. Whereas if that fight had gone on, it was Sandhagen was kind of handling him. Yeah. And just Figueiredo looked small and looked old and just looked outclassed. Like this fight wouldn't be happening, I don't think, if that fight had just gone on and Sandhagen had won an easy decision, which is what it kind of looked like headed towards. Here, I mean, Nurmagomedov is so good. Yeah. Merab left him in the dust kind of in the later parts of their fight, but Nurmagomedov never fully went away. Like he looked frustrated at the end, but up until Merab lost, that was about as good a fight as anyone had given him. And Umar's still just 31. He's just dead center of his prime right now. He's going to be way bigger than Figueiredo, faster, a far better wrestler. Like you said, probably just as dangerous a submission grappler. Like, yeah, this is a huge mismatch. I could see Nurmagomedov getting the sub, especially if he's out wrestling Figueiredo and wearing him down from early on. I'm going to say this thing goes all 3 rounds and Nurmagomedov just washes him, but a late stoppage wouldn't surprise me either.
Figueiredo saying that he only takes one punch. The last time Figueiredo got a knockout was his first fight against Joseph Benavidez when he missed weight and couldn't win the title. And that was almost 6 years ago. Like, he's not getting a knockout.
The 5-fight main card of UFC 324 begins with a high-stakes men's featherweight clash between Arnold Allen and Gene Silva. Allen, the 31-year-old Englishman, is 20-3 overall. He's 11-2 in the UFC, and he is coming in off a win after suffering those 2 losses back-to-back. He lost decisions to Max Holloway and Movsar Evloev over 2023 and 2024. Came back in July of 2024 at UFC 304 and got back in the win column with a decision win over Giga Chikadze. He has been on the shelf ever since with a couple of injuries, but he's finally back in the cage, looking to slot right back into at least the outskirts of the title picture against Silva. 29-year-old Brazilian is 16-3 overall. He is 5-1 since joining the UFC out of season 7 of Dana White's Contender Series, and he's 5 to the good, with 1 loss in his very last appearance. That was at Noche UFC last September, where he had been getting slightly the better of a really fun fight against Diego Lopez before running right into a spinning back elbow that precipitated his demise, ended up being just before the second round buzzer. So Silva is looking to get back in the win column, looking to get back on track after having what I think was a 12-fight win streak snapped. Keith, your favorite is minus 275. Your underdog plus 225. I have the feeling you know who they are, but
no way. That's crazy. I wasn't sure who the favorite was going to be until you said the line. Gene Silver is the big favorite.
That is correct. Tell us how you think this fight goes.
Look, I think that's absurd. I don't think Arnold Allen should be that big of an underdog to the champion. Like he's that good. I mean, no disrespect. I like both these guys. These both guys are freaking great. I mean, Silva's just, he burst on the scene, and I mean, he was the talk of the town. I mean, this guy was incredible, and then even his loss was a fun, great fight. He's a tremendous athlete. He moves really well. He's a pressure striker that's constantly forcing his opponent back. Good volume, good striking. Likes to sit on the outside and then burst into the pocket and throw hard, big shots. He's got quick hands. He's explosive. He's accurate. He throws a lot of hard hooks. His left hook is his best punch. He likes elbows inside close. He hits super hard. He's got 12 TKOs. He can load up a little bit, and that's how he can get a little bit beat to the punch by faster fighter. That's what happened against Diego Lopez in a lot of their exchanges. But I'll give him a lot of credit. I mean, he won a stand-up battle against Melsik Bagdasaryan, which is really impressive. Most people can take Bagdasaryan down. He didn't. He stood up and swung it out with him and won it. He does drop his hands, and he's very hittable for an elite guy in the division. He likes to land some stepping knees, which I love. Mean high kicks. He can wrestle, but he doesn't look for it enough. He needs to improve his takedown defense. I mean, Diego Lopez took him down 3 times. Though he keeps his hips moving, he's hard to hold down. He's a very slick grappler. He's got 3 submission wins. He's got a great guillotine. He's got a great ninja choke. I mean, his submission of Bryce Mitchell was super slick. He's got good cardio too, despite having this explosive style, like having a little bit of a prime Yoel Romero style. The one knock on those guys is usually they gassed out, but that's not the case with Silva. Arnold Allen, I think because he's like a pasty white English guy, he doesn't get enough credit for how good of an athlete he is. He moves really well, especially laterally. He uses his footwork to get angles. I mean, he was getting Calvin Keita to chase him, and he was just having Keita walk right into power shots. But on the against Giga Chikadze, he was the opposite. He was constantly moving forward and crowding Chikadze. I think that shows his intelligence. He's a southpaw. He's technically sound, short, tight shots, not a lot of tells. He sets up his shots well with feints. He's got quick hands. He's accurate. He's got a really good crisp jab. He's got a nice straight left hand. He likes to lead with the power left a lot, which we don't see a lot in MMA, which is fun to see. He can look for a little too much. He did do that against Max Holloway. I think some of that was trying to catch up. He fights behind a Philly shell defense, which is so rare in MMA. That's a hard read for a lot of guys. He does well to slide into the pocket and land some power shots, throw some nice straight shots. I like that he looks for step-in knees. He also likes to sidestep a lot, which gives him different angles. He'll sidestep and they'll throw an uppercut. Just very technically sound and very boxing, like things you'd see in like high level boxers. He has underrated power. I mean, he knocked out Yusuf. He knocked out Hooker. He knocked out Cater. Big kicking game. He's got a great high kick. He doesn't check leg kicks though. Sadiq Yusuf beat up his legs with kicks. He likes to use his size and grind in the clinch. He's a solid wrestler. Nice entries. Good at winning scrambles. He did abandon the wrestling against Chikadze, which is weird because they had such an advantage there. But he lost to Moshe Evloev, but he was really hard to hold down. He was escaping. He was like Granby rolling and keeping his hips moving. And despite getting smoked against Holloway, he showed incredible cardio in that fight. Like, he actually was slowing Holloway down at times and moving forward. So, like I said, this is the matchup I'm really looking forward to. That's flying under the radar. Silva is so explosive and can finish a fight in a second, while Arnold is so sharp and so technical. I think both guys have their moments. I think the line is way off. I think this should be as close to a pick'em as it is. And I was actually leaning Allen. I think both can have their moments in the striking, especially whoever's able to press their opponents back. I just think Allen usually has a really good game plan, and he'll take advantage of his wrestling at moments and maybe get some takedowns, especially after Lopez. We saw what he did. I guess I'm going with a pretty big upset. I'm gonna say Allen wins by decision.
I love the pick there, and like you, I was surprised that Silva was as big a favorite as he is. I wonder if some of that is due to the long shelf time for Allen and just wondering what he's going to look like when he comes back. But assuming he is the same guy that he was in his last 4 or 5 fights in the UFC, even including the losses to Holloway and Evloev, I agree with you that this line should be much closer, because not only is he a similarly skilled fighter who's actually faced an even slightly higher level of opposition, has plausible avenues to victory. Like, for him to beat Silva, it wouldn't require us to see something that we've never seen before. Like we just finished talking about Nurmagomedov versus Figueiredo. Allen is a good underrated wrestler who has faster entries than he gets credit for, and Silva can be taken down. Like,
what's his weakness? What's a glaring weakness in his game?
He has a terrible haircut and a funny accent. Like,
he's British. He's British. I don't know.
I want to go with you here and pick the upset. Again, if Allen looks like the guy that gave a Holloway and Evloev a really good fight, that beat Chikadze, that beat Cater, back when beating Cater like meant, more than it does, say in 2025, 2026, I think this fight should be a pick'em, because I feel like I have a better handle on what Silva's going to look like in the cage. I'm going to lean Silva by decision here, but this should be a hell of a fun fight, and it's a hell of an important fight. Whoever wins this fight is well positioned to be in the title picture by the end of this year. But give me Silva by decision. Next up on the UFC 324 main card is the lone women's fight on the entire card, as Natalia Silva squares off against Rose Namajunas in a flyweight matchup. Silva, the 28-year-old Brazilian, is 19-5-1 overall. She is a perfect 7-0 since joining the UFC as the former Jungle Fight flyweight champ. She fought most recently back in May at UFC 315, where she won a unanimous decision over Alexa Grasso. She will look to make it 8 in a row to start her UFC run, make a case for herself to be the next challenger for the title in that division against Namajunas. The 33-year-old Wisconsinite is 14-7 overall. She is 12-6 since joining the UFC out of the season of The Ultimate Fighter that inaugurated the division. She is, of course, the former UFC strawweight champ, and she is coming in off a win. She fought just once last year. It was in June at UFC on ESPN Usman versus Buckley, where she won a unanimous decision over Miranda Maverick. That allowed her to bounce back from her loss to Erin Blanchfield a little over a year ago. She'll look to make it 2 wins in a row here, reassert herself as a factor in the title picture in her new division. She is not favored to get it done, as Silva is the favorite. Keith, what number does the line start with?
It's going to be something big. She's like 290 or something.
Silva is minus 410. Namajunas plus 320 as your underdog. I mean, you might be able to find a book out there that has her under minus 400, but minus 400, minus 425, minus 450 is pretty much where the line was for this one.
Yeah.
So take it away, Keith. Is Natalia Silva a future champ in this division, and does she look like it against Rose Namajunas on Saturday?
Well, Ben, if you remember our preview show and our prediction show, I've already gave my prediction and who's going to win this fight. Not the most bold after those lines. Let me ask you this: was this fight bumped up from the prelims, or was Arnold Allen fight bumped up prelims once Kayla Harrison got it?
I don't think it's either. I think it may have been a 6-fight main card.
Oh, okay.
And it just fell to 5.
Oh, okay. Which is weird with 2 title fights, but okay. Rose Namajunas is tough because, she's one of the greatest female. I mean, if we've done this before. We did the Mount Rushmore of top female fighters. And I think we have her outside, but if someone wanted to give her the 4th spot, I'm okay with it. but she's right there, 4th, 5th, 6th, for greatest female fighters of all time. Good.
And if you think about her as the greatest strawweight of all time, anyone else you would make the case for, she's probably beaten them twice.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, that's real. Yeah, 2 wins against Joanna and 2 wins against Wei Li that's pretty impressive, and knockouts over them is she's a really good athlete. She still moves well. She's kind of always really been known for that great footwork. Sometimes she moves too much, though she has been planting a lot more recently. We've talked about this about her a million times. She can cruise too much. She has that like Diaz brothers mentality. If she's not getting hurt, I'm not losing. I mean, perfect example was that horrendous fight against Carlos Esparza where she lost the title. She's still a technically sound striker. She switches stances a lot, though I do prefer her in the southpaw stance. Well, she likes to work best from distance. She can land while being pressured back. The biggest issue has been her volume has really greatly dropped. She throws way too many single strikes since she's been up at flyweight. I mean, her output, to her credit, was better against Miranda Maverick. Her hand speed is still good. She has a nice jab. It's what that's what she's always going to be known for, that jab and those high kicks and stuff. But she's a good counter striker, good head movement, good slip and ripping. Her power. When she moved up to 125, I thought her power would go with her. We've seen so many people. That has not been the case at 125. She's a bit of like a point fighter now. She's a good kicker, great high kick. Obviously, we know that she's won titles with her high kick. She's a criminally underrated wrestler, and she wrestles a lot too. She's got this good IQ. She wins close rounds with late takedowns. Her takedowns is what beat Miranda Maverick. That and Maverick blowing her knee out, but she's a super slick grappler. Good at winning scrambles. She moves to a better position on the ground. She has no issues on stalling on top. We saw this against Amanda Hebus. She's super flexible. She can get subs from both bottom and top. Great back takes. If she's taken down, she's very hard to hold down. She gets up pretty quickly. She showed incredible sub defense, getting out from submissions against Miranda Maverick. She has gas. She did gas against Erin Blanchfield, which is a bit surprising, but I think that's like a exception. Natalia Silva, this girl's really good. She switches stances a lot. She easily slides in and out of both stances with really good footwork. She's elusive, nice output, technically sound, sets up her shots well with the feints. She's a bit of a stick and move striker, constantly moving, making it herself hard to be hit. She can also strike while backing up. She has really fast hands. Crisp jab, attacks with combinations. She's accurate. I love her left hook. She doesn't have the best power though. A little bit like Rose, where she point strikes, but she'll throw out some spinning attacks. Incredible kicking game. Great dexterity in her legs. Some of the best high kicks you'll see in the game. Throws a high kick out of both stances so easily. She kicks from all these different angles, likes some spinning wheel kicks. She likes that Holly Holm side kick. Despite being hit hard, despite being hard to hit, I should say, she does have some defensive issues. She keeps her chin a little too high in the exits, but she is a good wrestler. She usually likes if she kicks and you return with a kick, she'll catch a kick and take you to the ground. She also likes to get in the clinch and look for upper body takedowns, good throws. She had great takedown events against Jasmine Vicious, which is a really good win that has aged really well. She was landing wizard kicks in that fight. Good takedown defense. If taken down, like I go back to, it's a while ago, but against like Teresa Blanchard, she's like swept her real quick when she was taken down. Mean ground and pound on top. She is a submission artist. She has 7 subs on her record, and she showed great cardio and output against Andrew Lee. So as far as prediction goes, I do think the line, I don't think Rose Namajunas should be that big of an underdog against really anybody based on her history, she's still competitive. Even the fight she loses, she's not getting blown out. I'm just really worried about her motivation. That's been a concern of mine about Rose for a really long time. I think it's clear that she is declining. I think that's fair to say. I think Silva is the real deal. I think she's going to be too much for Namajunas on the feet. I think Rose is going to have to wrestle her to win. I don't think she'll be able to wrestle and take her down or hold her down enough to win. So I'm going to say Silva wins by decision.
Yeah, I love the breakdown there, and it's hard to add a lot to it, but just a few things I want to point out. Rose Namajunas really is one of the more remarkable athletes to come through MMA certainly in the time I've been covering it, and I agree that she doesn't get enough credit for how good her wrestling is, and doesn't get enough credit for her athleticism, period. Because normally when we think of a standout athlete, we think of someone that looks more like Silva. That's like a explosive ball of muscle that, even though she's 5'4", it looks like she could probably dunk a basketball if she wanted. And Namajunas has something different. She just has just fluid, coordinated, incredible balance. It's much more of a BJ Penn type athleticism than a Kevin Randleman type thing. Like you, I kind of expected Namajunas' power to move with her up to 125, especially because her body was clearly changing. Like, she had crazy power at strawweight, even when she was really young and kind of looked thin and willowy. She was just like knocking people out, and she's put more muscle on her frame even before she moved up to 125. But yeah, certainly the knockout power has not followed her up. And even the stinging power that changes her opponent's tactics hasn't really followed her up. And it's made it so that she has to thread a little bit more of a needle to win her fights. There's certainly upset potential here. Namajunas could turn to that wrestling and use it to scrape out 2 rounds out of 3 against Silva. But it's hard for me to picture that happening. And for whatever time they're stuck on the feet, I feel as though Silva might be the one who is throwing greater volume and landing with greater power when she does connect. That's going to make it hard for Namajunas to win rounds. So as much as it pains me to see somebody as a 4-1 favorite over Thug Rose, I kind of see where it's coming from. The routes to victory would be tough for her to follow. They're tough for me to envision. So give me Silva by decision here as well. Third from the top at UFC 324 is a heavyweight clash between Waldo Cortes-Acosta and Derrick Lewis. Cortes-Acosta, the 34-year-old Dominican, is 16-2 overall. He is 9-2 since joining the UFC out of Season 6 of Dana White's Contender Series and as the former LFA heavyweight champ. He's on a 2-fight win streak since his loss in August to Sergey Pavlovich. He fought twice in November. He knocked out Ante Dalia on November 1st, came back in on short notice against Shamil Gaziev 3 weeks later on November 22nd, and knocked him out in the first round as well. So Cortes-Acosta showing definitively how to put a demoralizing loss in the rear view. Knock out 2 guys in about 5 total minutes of cage time, 3 weeks apart. He's back in the cage again, and it's not even going to be 2 months since the Gaziev fight to try to make it 3 in a row against Lewis. 40-year-old Houstonian, who will be 41 a couple weeks after UFC 324, is 29-12 with 1 no contest overall. He is 20-10 since joining the UFC a million years ago as also a former LFA heavyweight champ. He is also on a 2-fight win streak. He fought most recently back in July, knocking out Talison Teixeira in 35 seconds in the headliner of UFC on ESPN 70. Prior to that, you have to go all the way back to 2024 for his 3rd round knockout of Rodrigo Nascimento. So Lewis, kind of surprisingly, in his 40s, looking for his 3rd straight win, looking to put more distance yet between himself and the 2nd greatest knockout artist in UFC history. He is not favored to do so. Big Waldo minus 340, Lewis plus 280 coming back. This line is bananas. Here.
That's just, think about what Deiveson Figueiredo said. And Derrick Lewis is actually the guy who can do that.
Yes. When you say it takes 1 punch, we mean it literally in this case. Derrick Lewis is literally the most prolific knockout artist in UFC history. And it's not one of those things, like, I don't know, like Burt Blyleven having 300 wins just because he was in the major leagues for 50 years. Like, Derrick Lewis is legit one of the hardest hitters in MMA history. Sure. He's and I won't go into my full rant about him. Keith and I have previewed literally 13 or 14 of his fights in the last 5 years. The basic scouting report on him remains the same. He's a better athlete, a more diverse striker, and has a higher fight IQ than you are thinking right now. You know,
and he hits like a freaking Mack truck.
Don't judge his intelligence by what he does after the fight is over, like throwing his cup into the that's. And here's the thing: I am under no illusions that Derrick Lewis is a perfect or unbeatable fighter. Again, he's lost 10 times in the UFC, and most of the times he's lost have been bad. But here's the thing: to beat Lewis without either the threat of the takedown or big knockout power of your own is still a hard thing to do. You look at the people that have beaten Lewis, like who's beaten him in the last 3 or 4 years. Jailson Almeida and Sergey Spivak both ragdolled him with offensive wrestling. Sergey Pavlovich and Tai Tuivasa were super hard hitters themselves who just caught him clean in close quarters. You have to go all the way back to Ciryl Gane to see a guy who really beat Lewis with footwork and volume and distance management. Like, yes, Gane ended up knocking him out, but it was like after he piled up some damage, after Lewis got frustrated, crashed the pocket, and Gane just wrecked him.
And he's got different speed, different athleticism than any other heavyweight.
Right. Like Cortes-Acosta, and I've been underestimating Waldo Cortes-Acosta ever since he stepped into the UFC. So feel free if he destroys Lewis, like you can pile on top of me on the recap.
No, you can't, because you guys. What'd you say his betting line is?
Minus 340.
No,
minus 340.
If you take a big upset, he's supposed to win. He's a 3.5 to 1 favorite.
And here's the thing, like, and my stock kind of line about Cortes-Acosta is you can make a lot of hay at heavyweight if you have one standout skill and the aggression, durability, and the requisite fight IQ to leverage it. And the one positive I saw about Cortes-Acosta, even in LFA and on the Contender Series, I'm like, wow, this is one of the few heavyweights that's tall, has long reach, and actually uses a jab a lot. And he's still that guy, but he's not Ciryl Gane from a standpoint of lateral movement, stance switching, diversity of strikes. And I mean, it's not apples to apples, but it reminds me of what Robbie Lawler said ahead of his first fight with Rory McDonald, where he's like, if he thinks he's going to beat me with nothing but a jab, he's fucking insane. Like, Cortes-Acosta could do everything perfectly for 13 minutes and end up needing the smelling salts. Like, just ask about 4 of Derrick Lewis's former opponents, including some much more accomplished people than Cortes-Acosta. It's entirely possible that Cortes-Acosta jabs Lewis up, starts kicking his legs, gives ground, pecks away, wins all 3 rounds pretty easily, and Lewis just looks frustrated and pissed off after the fight. That can definitely happen. And if Cortes-Acosta wins, that's probably what it looks like. But I'm not picking it. I guess it's a big upset on the books, but Lewis is the walking personification of the puncher's chance. Like, he is the exception that kind of proves the rule. And I think he's going to find Cortes-Acosta's chin at some point in this fight. And I'm going to say it's another vintage Derrick Lewis special where he's down 2 rounds to none, middle of the 3rd round, catches him with one big one, puts his head on a swivel, and this thing's over. So if you don't want a weather report about Derrick Lewis's weather south of the border, you're going to want to mute your broadcast as soon as he connects with that big right hook. Lewis by 3rd round knockout. Balls will be hot.
Yeah, this fight. I agree. I don't want to break down Derrick Lewis. I mean, we broke him down. Like everything you said, he's a better athlete than people think. He's better on the ground than people think. He's Cortes-Acosta. What I love about this guy is how active he is. Like if he wants to be like the heavyweight Kevin Holland, like that's cool. Mm-hmm. And he's a boxer. His output has been inconsistent though. Like he has really good output one fight, and other times he's a little gun shy. I mean, for example, is Sergey Pavlovich, he gave him way too much respect. He was just backing up against the cage for majority of the fight. And I know once a guy hits as hard as Pavlovich is, you might do that. I just wonder if he does the same thing with Derrick Lewis. Does he back up against the cage for big portions of the fight? That would not be a good idea against Derrick Lewis. His output has been much better lately. He's got a good jab. He sets up his power shots with feints. He throws straight shots. He's good at wrapping punches around his opponent's defense if you go high guard defense. I like that he works the body. He's shown power. He knocked out Ante Dalia. He knocked out Shamil Gaziev. So I used to doubt his power, but I don't doubt that anymore. He throws some good calf kicks. He is heavy on his front foot, so he's open to leg kicks himself. He does keep his chin too high, but to his credit, he's shown off like a really good chin. I mean, he 8 shots from Robles to Spain. He 8 shots from Sergey Pavlovich, and those two guys are really, hard hitters. He showed good fight IQ by wrestling to Spain. His takedown defense has improved drastically since joining the UFC, though. I did say Derrick Lewis is underrated grappling. Like, I don't think Derrick Lewis is going to out wrestle him. And when he has been taken on, he's been hard to hold down. So Acosta's on a roll. I understand why he's the betting favorite. Like he's definitely the smart pick. He's got the momentum. He's got a granite chin. Lewis, I totally could see Lewis landing one big shot. I mean, how could you not? I mean, that's not being bold, saying, hey, Derrick Lewis is going to win by knockouts. Like, oh, you mean the guy with the most knockouts ever? It's like, oh, wow. We're going to disagree on one thing. Like I could see Cortes hating the power of Lewis, giving too much respect, backing himself against the cage, getting himself where it's hard to make escapes and Lewis can tee off on him. Maybe opens up, they connect, he opens up a little bit and Lewis just can, finds his chin. But we're going to disagree on one thing. You said Lewis is going to knock him out in the 3rd round. Lewis is going to knock him out in the 1st round. Give me Derrick Lewis. We got a consensus upset, major consensus upset pick. I'm taking Derrick Lewis by 1st round knockout.
That brings us to the co-main event of UFC 324, a potential title eliminator at bantamweight between Sean O'Malley and Song Yadong. O'Malley, the 31-year-old Montana native by way of Arizona, is 18-3 with 1 no contest overall. He is 10-3 with 1 no contest since joining the UFC out of Season 1 of Dana White's Contender Series. He is, of course, the former UFC bantamweight champ. He surrendered the belt to Murad Dvalishvili back in September of 2024, came right back and challenged for the title again in what was an immediate rematch for him, though not for Murad, at UFC 316 last June. He ended up losing to Dvalishvili even worse than the first time. So he may be the happiest person in the world other than Petr Yan, that Petr Yan is now your UFC bantamweight champ. But nonetheless, he needs to get past the man in front of him on Saturday if he wants another crack at gold. Song, I cannot believe that Song Yadong is still just 28 years old and just barely turned 28. He turned 28 like 5 weeks ago. It feels like he's been in the UFC since he was 15. At any rate, 28-year-old from China is 22-8-1 with 1 no contest overall. He's 11-3-1 in the UFC. Okay, one last thing about his age. He's 28 years old, just barely turned 28. And after Michael Johnson and Derrick Lewis, I believe he is the guy that's been in the UFC longest on this card, uninterrupted. He's been in the UFC longer than Rose Namajunas. He's been in the UFC like longer than Alex Perez.
No, he can't be in the UFC before Rose Namajunas. Because Rose came right from the Ultimate Fighter.
Or no. Let's see. He came to the UFC in 2018. Okay, yeah. Okay, Rose was a couple years earlier, but
yeah. But anyways, he's been in the UFC. The point is taken. He's been in the UFC since he was like 20.
Yeah. he's coming in off a win. He fought just once last year, and it was all the way back in February. It was in the headliner of UFC Fight Night 252, where he won a technical decision over Henry Cejudo when Cejudo was unable to continue after the third round, went to the judges, and Song ended up the winner. He's going to look to make it 2 in a row here, put his own hat in the ring for a shot at the belt sometime this year. He is not favored to get it done. O'Malley is your favorite. He's minus 210, Song plus 175 as the underdog.
Wow. That's pretty big.
I'm going to sound like Keith here, but this one feels to me like it should be a pick'em. Sure. And like, here's the thing. Like, obviously O'Malley is a dazzling, breathtaking striker on the feet, especially when he's fighting someone who, gives him the time, the room to work, lets him lead the dance, or simply can't prevent it. O'Malley is breathtaking in a way that few fighters, and frankly in UFC history, have been. Like, in terms of just being a spectacle to watch and watch do his thing, even against other good strikers, he's on that Israel Adesanya, Anderson Silva type level. He's a breathtaking striker. The route to victory against him has traditionally been to wrestle him, but that's not always been an easy, it's not as easy as Merab Dvalishvili made it look, or, he wouldn't be, a former champ at this point. Song is, I think he doesn't always underuse his wrestling. I think Song is a good wrestler who some fights he uses it well. He uses it exactly kind of as appropriate for the opponent, and it's effective on its own as well as helping set things up for his striking. This fight could be a razor close classic that probably, would leave us wishing for 5 rounds if we get Song using his wrestling, using probably his superior one-shot power. O'Malley obviously he has knockout power, but a lot of it is kind of the Israel Adesanya thing, where he catches you and runs you into the strike you didn't see coming. The Conor McGregor thing. Obviously McGregor hit like a ton of bricks, but the thing that killed people was that he would use his kicks to run him into his left hook. O'Malley has that kind of power. Song Yadong, if you just took both these guys to Dave and Buster's and had him punch the PSI punching bag thing, Song might be a harder hitter on a punch for punch basis. Sure. So I'm excited for the striking matchup here, and I'm excited to see what happens when or if Song tries to take O'Malley down. I feel like I harp on this just at least once per card that we cover. I'm not a fighter, I'm not a coach, but it just seems like the most obvious thing. If Song tries to take O'Malley down, a legit earnest takedown attempt in the first 2 or 3 minutes of this fight, even if he doesn't get him down, I think that just sets him up for success on the feet going forward. So rooting for nothing here but a great fight. I kind of hope that happens. But even if he does, I do like O'Malley here. I think we may be up to get reminded just how good Sean O'Malley is. Give me O'Malley to kind of put on a classic Sean O'Malley performance. I think we'll get a bit of Song Yadong coming forward, O'Malley exiting, staying off the center line, exiting with his lateral movement, Song charging forward, doing a little bit of swinging at air, O'Malley touching him up a little bit. Give me O'Malley to, I'd say probably win 2 rounds out of 3, but clearly be the winner of this fight. Give me O'Malley by decision.
Yeah, I mean, with O'Malley losing to Merab, he's kind of became a little bit of a forgotten figure in the division. But now that Merab has lost the title and he has a win over Jan, he is right back in the mix. Especially if he starts off the Paramount card, the first event of the year, with some spectacular knockout like he did Aljamain Sterling, and so or when he lands that perfectly clean, wow, only O'Malley can land that kind of shot. He could be right back next. And you know what? A lot of people hate O'Malley, and me and you never really get too big into certain fighters. We definitely, I say we can have our guys be our favorites, but I don't think we hate on anybody. And people get hate on O'Malley. O'Malley's still the most marketable guy in that division, and like the UFC wants him to win, and like if you're Paramount, you're really rooting for O'Malley to win because he might be the guy that my friend would ask about in the entire card.
There's a reason that O'Malley is in the co-main event while Umar Nurmagomedov is on the prelims, even though if they fought each other, Umar would probably be like a substantial favorite.
Yeah, like it won't be Deiveson Figueiredo big, but it'd be still pretty big. Yeah, I didn't even think about that. That's a good point. I didn't even think about that. I didn't even think about that. They didn't book O'Malley versus Umar. They just decided they could do this one.
Yeah.
O'Malley, I mean, obviously he's such a good athlete. He's very long and lanky. He's got great footwork. He moves well in his range. He's pretty elusive. He can fight out of both stances. He's very good from distance striking. He's very explosive. He's very like quick twitch timing kind of guy. Fast hands, very accurate, nice jab, good variety in striking. His right hand, short, tight. It's really good. He hides it really well as like a distraction. He strikes in front of him. Nice, clean 1-2s. He changed up his rhythm really good. He's very good at, like when I say he lands a punch, a lot of times they're just beating his opponent to the point of contact. He's also good at picking up the opponent's timing and their own rhythm, and he lays traps. He does that well with feints. He beat up Marlon Vera with great body shots. He's a great counter striker, good at slipping and ripping shots and just slipping and staying in range to land his own big shots. He will pull his head straight back sometimes and drop his hands. He did this against Pedro Munez and Marlon Vera in the first fight. I think he hits harder than you think, but yeah, I think like where his frame is, it is about landing the perfect shot, and he'll knock guys out with either hand. Some people don't like the decision against Pierre de Jan. And I know like some people are like, oh, Jan did not. If you think like it's okay if you thought Jan won, but Jan didn't get robbed. Like that fight was super close. And say what you want, like he hurt Jan, rocked Jan several times in that fight. Mm-hmm. Obviously he knocked out Aljamain Sterling. He'll toss out some spinning attacks. A big weakness is he doesn't check leg kicks. We've seen so many guys go after his legs. His takedown defense has been inconsistent. He was easily taken down against Merab. And Giannis took him down a bunch. He did stuff takedowns from Sterling, and his takedown defense was better against Merab, though. I mean, Merab still did his thing. He's not bad at scrambling. I actually think he's a little underrated there. Obviously, Merab subbed him, but Merab's a freak of nature. He should have a good gas tank against Jan, and showed that he has some dog. Like that was such a that's why I say it wasn't a robbery. Like I think it was a good showing from O'Malley because he showed. You don't think of O'Malley as like back and forth war type guy who has some great. It was his out of his Jan
his Gastelum fight.
Yeah, that's what I was trying to say. I was saying it right. Like when I was trying to say he's Izzy and Jan was Gastelum. Like that was his moment. Mm-hmm. My one knock about O'Malley that always worries me is that he can cruise at times, and he has that. And I know I've said this about other guys on this card tonight. Is that he if he's not getting hurt, he's not losing mentality, and I hate that. Song Yadong, he's a very good fighter. I think he's a very good striker, good technically sound, really good volume, has good boxing, quick hands, accurate, not many tells, good jab, follows with big combinations. He has good power, big kicking game, great high kicks, blast the calves. Though he did abandon the calf kicks against Jan. You mentioned his wrestling. He's a solid wrestler. He was getting takedowns and against a lot of guys, but he was faking takedowns and landing power shots against Jan because of how good his wrestling was. His defensive wrestling has been inconsistent. I don't think that'll be an issue against O'Malley, but it looks good in one fight, looks bad in others. But he's a good grappler. He's got 3 subs on his record. He struggled to get off the bottom against Jan, which is concerning. He has good cardio, but he's getting KOs in the 5th round. So as far as prediction go, this is such an amazing fight. Like surprisingly, if you asked me this question, the question that you started in the beginning, like what's a fight that's flying under the radar. If you asked me about Kayla Harrison and Amanda Nunes was still on the card, this actually might have been my answer, as crazy as it sounds.
Yeah.
I think the line is way off. I think this is a really good fight. I think Song is super underrated. I still prefer the boxing of O'Malley than Song's. However, Song's kicks, his threat of wrestling, give him a good chance of winning. Also, the way O'Malley can kind of give away portions of the fight. I'm leaning towards O'Malley because he's more accurate. I say he hurts Song a bunch of times, but I really expect both guys to have the moments. I think we have one of these fights like where it's only 3 rounds, and we wish, and you like you said, we're wishing it was 5 rounds. I think it's gonna be super close. I'm gonna say O'Malley wins by split decision.
All right. With that, we come to the main event of UFC 324, the first main event of the new UFC era, the first title fight, even if it's just for an interim title of the new era. It is Justin Gaethje versus Paddy Pimblett. Gaethje, the 37-year-old, pride of the Northern Arizona Lumberjacks wrestling program, 26-5 overall, 9-5 since joining the UFC as the outgoing World Series of Fighting champ. He is, of course, already a former interim UFC lightweight champ, as well as a one-time holder of the UFC's BMF belt. He is coming into this fight off of a win. He won a unanimous decision over Rafael Fiziev at UFC 313 last March. That allowed him to bounce back from his 2024 loss to Max Holloway in their BMF fight, where Holloway, of course, capped off a sensational fight with one of the greatest, most dramatic knockouts in MMA history. Don't need to revisit that just yet, but he's coming in off a win. He has said in so many words over the last few weeks that this is probably his last shot at a title, that he might pack it in if he does not get the gold here. The other man with anything to say about this will, of course, be Pimblett. 31-year-old from Liverpool is 23-3 overall. He is a perfect 7-0 since joining the UFC as a former 2-division champ in Cage Warriors. He was the lightweight champ. He also won the featherweight title in a one-off bout, but they kind of like Conor McGregor, a former lightweight and featherweight champ in Cage Warriors, who has done nothing but win since coming to the octagon. He also fought just once last year. It was at UFC 314 in April, where he knocked out Michael Chandler in the 3rd round. Odds here favor the Brit, favor him comfortably. Pimblett is minus 230, Gaethje plus 190. Keith, these two gentlemen have perfect UFC records. Pimblett has 7 fights in the UFC, 7 wins. Gaethje has 14 fights in the UFC, 14 post-fight bonuses. They're both batting 1,000. I'm batting 0 on these guys. I was wrong about both of them, at least thus far. When Justin Gaethje joined the UFC, I figured he was going to turn into fun mid-card fodder and out of the UFC by the beginning of 2026. Like, I'm in some ways, I am as surprised that Justin Gaethje is still in the UFC, let alone in a title fight at the beginning of 2026, as I am that Michael Johnson is still in the UFC. Like,
yeah, if he turned into Drew Dober, like, that would have been a very fair comparison.
There you go. And
that'd have been like, wow, that's good signing.
Yeah. And when Gaethje came to the UFC from World Series of Fighting, as you know, at the time, undefeated, completely dominant, my thought was, well, again, it's a great signing. He's probably the top star outside the UFC. He might be the top star outside the UFC right now, but future UFC title contenders don't get into multiple barn burners with Luis Palomino.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. He wasn't dominant. That's the problem. He was winning.
Yeah, that's a better way to put it. Like,
yeah, he was also like losing round to Luis Firmino, and yes, you're right.
And it kind of gets swept under the rug because, but some of it gets swept under the rug because both of the Palomino fights ended with Gaethje knocking him out.
Sure,
but I figured he'd be the kind of guy that fought for excitement to the detriment of his actual chances at winning, and because of that, would never string together enough wins to actually contend for a title in MMA's best division. I was right on the first part. He does fight to his own strategic detriment sometimes, but
that is true.
He's just that good.
He's the man.
Like
they signed him and Marlon Moraes from World Series Fighting at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
And most people who really dug into them thought Moraes was the big signing. Like he was the guy that would go. I mean, he did challenge for a title, but I mean, he was the guy that would be like top 5 guy for a really long time.
Yeah,
he's the man.
Well, hell, Dave Branch was a 2-division champion World Series of Fighting and completely shit the bed in the UFC. Like Gaethje was, Gaethje had the undefeated record, but I mean, in some ways, he's kind of turned into lightweight Robbie Lawler. That's the best. And I don't want to go too far here because here's the thing. Every time someone like he's the man, and knowing that he is near or at the end of his career, there's a temptation to eulogize his entire career.
Sure.
If it comes to it, we'll do that on the recap on Saturday. But I was wrong about Pimblett too. I was right about who he is, just like I was about Gaethje. I was wrong about whether it would work at the UFC level because again, he was the same guy in Cage Warriors that he has been in the UFC. An outstanding grappler who is both positionally sound and deadly dangerous in transition, just an opportunistic like viper of a submission artist who likes to slug it out on the feet even when he really, really shouldn't. That's what he was in Cage Warriors. It's what he has been in the UFC, and nobody has truly made him pay for it yet. And he's become a better version. Like he is physically for a guy that he kind of had the Nate Diaz skinny fat body in Cage Warriors, and then for a while in the UFC between fights just had the fat body where he'd post pictures of himself weighing like 195 pounds with a big old gut, and he is a different animal just in terms of his physique than he was say 4 years ago. He seems to be taking his conditioning more seriously. He's gotten older. He's past his. He just turned 31 a couple weeks ago. He's in his prime right now, and I think part of the reason that it's easy to be dismissive. He has such a goofy personality, goofy haircut, goofy accent that it leads you to think that his fight style is goofy as well. And it is reckless at times, but it's more like a crazy like a fox thing. Like, if he had a Dagestani foreguard and an unpronounceable, 20-letter name and fought like this, we might not think of him the same way. Like, I wonder if some of it is his personality, like bleeding over into how we, and I say we, like including myself, rate his game. He's not a bad offensive striker. He has long reach. He uses it pretty well. He has decent power because he swings hard on things, but he's defensively very porous. Like he kind of tends to plant when he should keep moving, keeps his head right on the center line when he should be moving it. And because of that, distinctly less skilled fighters than him have caught him cleanly. But thus far, he's had a great chin, great recoverability, and he's ended up on the winning side again, all 7 times in the UFC. On the ground, he's nasty, and he's a better wrestler than he was when he got to the UFC, and he's a better wrestler than he gets credit for. And it's because, again, he's not a traditional folk style, freestyle, shoot through your hips wrestler, but he's more of a guy that, will get inside, use trips, body locks, get just a weak single, but hold on to it, knowing that he can chain it to something else, or even to, just a standing back take. He finds ways to get the fight into his wheelhouse once he turns his mind to it. There are so many ways that Gaethje can win this fight. He is a much harder hitter. He could just cold cock Pimblett with a punch. He could start hacking away at Pimblett's front leg. He has always had some of the best and sporadically underused leg kicks in the sport. He could start using those, but I think this is Pimblett's fight to win kind of everywhere here. On the feet, I think he's capable of hurting Gaethje. Gaethje has turned into a guy that he still has good recoverability. He still has a good chin. It's not like people are knocking him out 45 seconds into a fight. Like, they're knocking him out after already absorbing 150 punches from, the big 155-pound version of Max Holloway. I could see Paddy hurting him on the feet. If this is a fight where Paddy beats Gaethje without even having to take him down, then yeah, probably is time to retire. But if it goes to the ground, Gaethje is vulnerable to good submission grapplers, and I think that's what happens here. I think Paddy probably gives us a more fun fight than this needs to be for 5 to 7 minutes, but he'll drag Gaethje down. Either he'll hurt him and just chase him to the ground, or he'll step under a big haymaker, get a body lock, trip him down. But give me Pimblett by second round submission, and it might be one where he kind of reminds us what a more well-rounded mixed martial artist he is. I could see it being one where he hurts Gaethje on the feet, where he sets up the submission with some of his increasingly nasty ground and pound that we've seen over the last few fights. But yeah, Pimblett by second round submission, and new, at least for the interim.
Yeah, that'd be the best thing that happened to.
UFC. And
which is crazy to think that like a fan favorite like Justin Gaethje, who's he has to be the most exciting fighter of all time, and based on the win bonuses, and that's all due respect to a guy like Charles Oliveira, who could throw in a couple like Robbie Lawler and Carlos Condit and all these guys. But I mean, Justin Gaethje's that guy. For you to be the guy that the UFC wants to be, Justin Gaethje, and you're more marketable, that's insane. And a fight with Pimblett against Ilia Topuria, that's the biggest fight of the year.
Yep.
I love how you said Pimblett was. What did you say he was? How much?
-230.
-230. That's surprising. You went back like a year and a half ago to say he's a pretty hefty favorite over Justin Gaethje, but I get it. But you guys, I feel like Vegas is not getting tricked by the line than people are, because MMA loves to paint narratives. MMA fans love to paint narratives, and I think you're right with the haircut and his this little goofy thing he does, and that people don't look at him. This guy is a savage, but he is an absolute savage, and he's looked incredible. And then another thing, like, people go back to Jarrett, like a close, boring off night against Jared Gordon, and people play it as like, oh, he get these gifts from the UFC, and he's been put up against guys and just running through them. I remember the amount of people that when he got booked against Bobby Green was like, oh my god, that's the worst stylistic match. Me too. I picked Bobby Green. I was like, yeah, that's so, and he just steamrolled him.
Yep.
The one question I have is has he faced anybody who is a top 10 talent? I don't know. Is Michael Chandler at this point in his career, was he still a top 10 talent? I don't know. Or is he just Paddy's that good and Chandler still is really good and Paddy's the man? Funny thing is, if people talk about Paddy, this guy used to be a flyweight. People talk about how big he is. Gaethje, it's concerning because he has long layoffs and, recently because of contracts and this, that. He's still a good striker. He used to be a very wild striker, but he's become way more tactical over the years. He's very good in that mid-range pocket. That's his world. He's a good counter striker, great overhand right, great left hook. He hits very hard. Everyone always remembers him getting knocked out by Max Holloway, and obviously that's historically probably one of the top 10 knockouts of all time. But people forget that he was in that fight, was the first person to ever drop Max Holloway. I mean, I know Ilia Topuria has now knocked him out, but at that time, that was a big thing. Yep. He's on the Mount Rushmore for leg kickers. Like he has thudding kicks, mean calf kicks. Great high kick. He's a really good dirty boxer. I mean, he beat Rafael Fiziev up with dirty boxing, which is really impressive. He still eats a lot of punches. He backs straight up. He's been rocked so many times, obviously, was face planted by Max Holloway. But he's been hurt so many times, and the biggest thing is he's so mentally strong. He gets hit. Paddy can be having his way on. Paddy can be going off on him in the first round, and Gaethje's not going to break mentally.
No.
I'm not even going to mention his wrestling. I don't give a shit about his wrestling. He never used it. He was a college wrestler a billion years ago. Like, it doesn't matter. It's super relevant. And plus, even if he does, I don't think he can wrestle for a long period of time, especially not against Paddy. My favorite thing about Paddy is this incredible belief he has himself. I really, as I've broken down fights and I've grown as a fight fan, I really believe that matters in athletes. He's a better athlete than he looks. I think that surprised me. I don't think I give him enough credit. I mean, I always go back to when him losing to Nad Narimani. I didn't think a guy, and I actually think Nad Narimani was a pretty underrated guy, but I didn't see a guy losing to Nad Narimani to go on and become a superstar in the UFC. And I always knew he had the personality, but I didn't know if he had the skill. But he's proven that ain't true. I mean, he's obviously this huge lightweight. He moves well, better footwork than you think. He kind of flows. I think his striking has been improving. I think he works best from distance. He has more power than he gets credit. He has a few KOs in his career. He does. Guys do struggle to get past his offense because he has very long arms due to his size. He still has a lot of defensive holds. He hangs his hands low, which is really bad. Because guys measure him. He backs straight up on the center line. He keeps his chin high. He wants to be the one pressuring instead of being pressured. He does have a good kicking game. He kicks well, like push kicks to keep his distance, nice hard calf kicks. He likes question mark kicks. He'll throw some flying knees. He was killing Michael Chandler with knees up the middle. He uses his size well in the clinch. He likes body locks and trip takedowns. It's been a while, but he had a beautiful judo throw against Kazula Vargas. So I think he's an underrated wrestler. I still view him more as a BJJ style wrestler. He's not really going to explode through your hips, but his goal is just to kind of create a scramble. I actually think he's better with the upper body and trips and stuff. He isn't a good defensive wrestler, especially because he'll jump guillotine. But if he's on top, he showed against Chandler. He had some mean ground and pound. I mean, he was punishing Chandler with ground and pound. He's super flexible. He has a submission threat. He hit Bobby Green with a beautiful triangle. He has a bunch of subs on his right. He chains subs together well. He has gassed out in the past, and I think some of that has to do to a massive weight cut. That's actually something that could concern, especially if we have a bonkers Justin Gaethje type fight where it's a war. I bash the card, but I don't want to. Again, I want to say I don't want to bash this fight. This is an incredible fight. Mm-hmm. I think the line is off. I think the line should be closer. Because I still think this is a step up in competition for Pimblett. I still don't think he's faced someone on Gaethje's level. And if this was Gaethje from 2 years ago, I'd feel pretty confident taking him. Yeah. I'm worried. Is he still a top 5 guy? Will his durability ever fail him? Is the motivation there? All that stuff still worries me. I think we're gonna have a back and forth fight. I think they're both going to have moments. I think Paddy might show that he has a lot more dog in them than people think. I think he's gonna be bloodied up. It might be one of those, but he loses the fight, but gains fans and gains respect. We've seen guys have those moments where, when people thought Luke Rocco was this pretty boy, then he had that war against Costa or Adesanya against Gastelum, or even O'Malley against Jan, and they have these moments where you have this blood and guts, and people are like, wow, actually he lost, but damn, what a good showing. If we get that fight, we get this blood and guts fight, I'm gonna go with the guy that loves that kind of fight. So I 100% see what you're saying, where Pimblett just ducks under a shot, takes Gaethje down and dominates him there because that's what he can do. And Gaethje kind of falls into takedowns and stuff. He gets taken down when he shouldn't be, off balance and stuff. But I'm going to go with another big upset. I'm going to say Gaethje catches Pimblett. I think we have an all-time war. I think they're both bloodied up, gets a Gaethje-type fight, and I think Gaethje catches Pimblett as he does in the third round with a big blow after they both rock each other multiple times. Give me Justin Gaethje by third round TKO.
I absolutely love that pick, and I'm glad that you made that pick because I'm going to throw in one last prediction here, and it's more relevant because one of us picked Gaethje. I've come around enough on Pimblett that if he loses to Gaethje on Saturday, I don't think this is the last we see of him in a fight this close to the title picture. I don't think it's smoke and mirrors. Even if Gaethje does knock him out, I don't think Pimblett's been exposed. I think he is a legitimate top 10, if not top 5 guy who is still getting better. So even if you're right, unless we see something that I'm really not expecting, I finally come around to the Pimblett bandwagon, and I'm staying on it even if he loses. But
one thing I'd say to MMA fans just in general, and even if Pimblett, I mean, he gets knocked out in the first round quick, so it's an absolute thrashing. Yeah. MMA is more enjoyable, in my opinion. Maybe it's just my personality, and maybe because I've been in around this sport for 30 years or whatever it is. I've been watching for 30 years. If you don't hate on the guys that you think gets a quicker push than they deserve, just enjoy those rises, and I swear you'll enjoy the fights more. Mm-hmm. And there's so many MMA fans. I mean, there's a lot of fans who obviously jump on the bandwagon of these guys, but don't hate on the Paddy Pimbletts on his rise. Don't hate on the Gable Stevenson when he gets his rise. Just enjoy it, and fights will be more enjoyable.
Absolutely.
Just watch Gaethje and Pimblett beat the shit out of each other. It's gonna be great.
100% on board with that. Yep. We've had similar conversations about people that didn't make it quite to the title picture era, like Sage Northcutt. What did he do other than sign the paper they put in front of him and beat up as many of the people they put in front of him as he could? Yeah,
I'd be the nicest dude on the planet. And people hated on him. And people hated on him. Yeah, the guy alive.
What's the hit? And last thing we need is to talk about Sage Northcutt at the end of a 13-fight card. But I will say that he's the nicest fighter I've ever interviewed, and he's one where that really is him.
And people hate on him. It's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's like the guy you want to be your neighbor.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right. That is it. The Sherdog Radio Network preview for UFC 324, Gaethje versus Pimblett, goes down this Saturday, January 24th in Las Vegas. It is the start of the new era, the Paramount Plus era. The good thing for you, if you're watching this, and especially for Keith and me, is that the cards are earlier. Check the start time because it's probably about 2 hours earlier than you're expecting it to be, which means that it won't be 4 a.m. when Keith has to talk to me about these fights. Yeah. But join us for the recap. We are live on the Sherdog YouTube page right after the main event. Keith takes the captain's chair. We will talk about all 13 of these fights, talk about what was good, what was bad, what was surprising, what was controversial. There's always something. Talking about what's next for some of the notable winners as well as losers, and talking with you. The live chat is open that whole time, so we're taking your questions, your comments, and your hot takes in real time. We have a growing community of friends that hang out with us after the fights. We would love for you to be part of it. Between now and then, thank you once again for listening. Enjoy the rest of your week, and by all means, enjoy these fights.
That record, 3 or 4 pretty big episodes.